Salutations YouTubers and malefactors, we're back here at Stoplogic Motorsports and I'm doing a continuation of the introductory GoPro guide and basic recording. Disclaimer, I'm not the best at this. I don't claim to be the best at this, but I do have some insight that might prove helpful. I want to help you take your videos from this.
Four-wheelers. Tight single track. You can do it. Yeah, we're about to do it together. Not the bike strong suit. I'm in a little bit better shape the last couple times I was out here. Last time I was out here, I was probably about 30 pounds heavier. Yeah, about here, I was huffing and puffing.
To this.
I guess they're probably going to be rotating these shelves soon. It's starting to get a little G'd out. Ooh, goodness, wrong way. Oops.
And there's a few settings on the GoPro that you'll find useful for shooting in, I guess, highlight areas and much action. So let me see if I can get this set up a little bit better, a little bit easier to read, and get my screen back on. Alright, anywho, so one of my previous videos was upscaling your GoPro shots. And upscaling works just fine. I usually shoot 1080p 60 frames per second wide angle, mainly for the fact that it scales up well to 4K. You get a ton of battery life from it. You also get a ton of space in your storage from it. And one thing you'll notice if you're a Texas motovlogger is that your camera will tend to overheat when you shoot in higher resolutions, so the less stress you give it, the better off it is. So my initial settings are the FPS resolution 1080 wide. You can do a narrow focus, but that's more for like videotaping stuff that would be like old-fashioned TV, like 3 to 4 aspect ratio as opposed to 16 to 9. The low light I leave on auto. If you do choose to set it, it's very difficult to get your right ISO setting for that. Stabilization I always keep on auto. Pro Tune, you can choose to edit your colors manually through the GoPro, but it's not very intuitive. And if you want to do most of that editing, you should really do that in your software. Really using your own tuning settings for color and everything are more so for people that don't have access to the computer tuning. Shutter speed's always at auto. EV comp, that's going to be one of the first things you'll notice that's a little bit different from your regular settings. So that's your exposure value. Most of the time the GoPro will set your exposure value to 0.5, and that'll be the first thing that makes your videos come out like unusually bright. White balance, K is your Kelvin setting for like how a video looks. The higher the Kelvin, the more blue everything looks, the lower the Kelvin, the more yellow or sepia tone stuff looks. So it's like a warmer, colder. And quite honestly, the GoPro will start out at like 4000K if memory serves me right. I cranked this up to 5500K to remove a lot of the yellowing from my videos. So it kind of drove me nuts having so much yellow and green. You'll notice in the first clip that I linked that you'll see that oversaturation. So your ISO minimum, you only have you between 100 and 6400. Oh goodness. It's good to set your minimum ISO value to 100. I think GoPro defaults out at 500. And from what I understand this does is sometimes having the ISO too high will cause like pixelation. but we'll double back on this and I'll put a bit of time into it. The ISO max, I keep it 3200. It defaults out at 6400 if memory serves me right. The sharpness, now one reason your videos look like a bit natty is that you sometimes have your sharpness at maximum. And the downside about having it set at maximum too is A, it consumes a lot of power, B, it creates a lot of heat, but C, it also generates some strange artifacting. So you'll notice the first video I used the straight GoPro settings. So GoPro has like a color palette. GoPro versus flat. Flat records everything as you would kind of see it with your eyes. The sort of like color palette you would see just through your eyes. GoPro has kind of like a on-the-fly color mastering deal with their software, and it's better if you're doing low light applications to use the GoPro correction. But if you're shooting motovlogging video during the day, flat gets you a more natural look. So as far as raw audio would be recording without any sort of noise cancellation on the GoPro. I wouldn't recommend turning it on if you're using the GoPro microphones. It just doesn't really do the trick with it. And also, you can set your GoPro to switch between windy conditions or audio or stereo. I prefer keeping it in auto because it will sometimes detect the wind. Most of the time I'll leave in a section of my clip just wind noise and go back through Audacity and do noise reduction through that, which I'll be explaining on the video after next to this one. So this video is going to be basically some GoPro settings that help sharpen up your image. Next video is going to be what I call balling on a budget, where you get your computer videoing software, and we're going to use an open source free editing software that seems to do a pretty good job of doing your processing. The video after that is going to be audio correction, and it's all just very basic stuff. This is all just intro stuff. This is geared for the person who's put on their GoPro for the first time, or you know, whatever action cam you have, and you just want to get a slightly better product out there. You're wondering why everything looks grainy, why other people's videos seem so smooth, so crisp and vibrant. Well, this is some of the stuff to kind of get you started in the right place. So if you like this content, like and subscribe. If you don't, feel free to criticize me harshly in the comments. And see you on the next one.